welcome to Hollow Acres Homestead. My name is Stephanie and today's garden tour day. We have so much growth at the front of the garden. All of these sunflowers coming up, getting pretty tall. So we are on the left side of the fence. If you're looking at it, I guess it's the right. I put the mushroom compost right here because I wanted to see how it would do versus the regular compost. I planted sunflowers in it at the same time, on both sides, same day, same time, and there is way more growth in the aged compost than there is in the mushroom compost. A lot of the sunflowers were really sickly, they're really droopy, they don't really have very much stability. So I went ahead and just topped it off with the aged compost. I don't think that I'm going to be using mushroom compost, at least not, I may try it again in containers, but for the purpose of the in-ground garden space with the sunflowers, I probably will not be doing that, at least not this year. These little pots, they're hanging, look at them. The strawberries still have not broken dormancy. I'm kind of worried that they're not even going to, but regardless, we still let it grow. This watermelon plant, oh my goodness. A couple of these guys are getting really big. I'm gonna walk on the other side. The growth on this side is so much more than the other side. So my experiment on the mushroom compost and the aged compost, I'm definitely liking the aged compost much better. Gotta fix that door. On the inside, the flowers aren't doing so well, so I think what I'm going to end up doing, I have a whole bunch of zinnias in the greenhouse that I will probably just come interplant in between all of this. There are a lot of weeds and a lot of grass because of the topsoil that I used. So unfortunately, I just have to come in here and just pull it out, grass blade by grass blade. These are the zucchini we planted just 2 weeks ago. And I am noticing an issue with this bed. As you can see, the leaves, they're yellowing. Now I have fertilized this with a water-soluble fertilizer, but what this tells me is that this bed does not have enough nutrients in it. So what I'm going to need to do is amend it. Either add more aged compost on top or try something else. Maybe a garden tone. More than likely I'll just put more compost on it. I still have some left, I think. I think I have a wheelbarrow full. So amending the soil is something I'm going to get to this weekend, probably Sunday. As of now, for the remainder of the season, on Sundays is when I'm going to be fertilizing. So this year I am really focusing on creating a really good soil environment. Last year I was fertilizing, I feel like way too much. You shouldn't have to fertilize once a week. And if you are fertilizing once a week, then you probably should amend your soil and put some more nutrients in it. And towards the middle to the end of the growing season for whatever plant you're growing in the soil, that starts to happen. You need to keep adding back in those nutrients because the plants are taking them. So every Sunday I'm going to fertilize what plants need to be fertilized, and I plan on fertilizing everything in the garden only once a month. That is the goal for now. We'll just kind of see how that works. I move down the row. Here's our amaranth. We planted it little. It's not really growing in this bed. I also put in some basil. There's some basil here on the edge. I put basil in all of them. We got little corn sprouts coming up. Not a lot, but oh wait, there's a lot more than this morning. There's quite a few actually. All of this stuff is just stuff that's falling out of the trees. I meant to come get the blower and blow all of that stuff away, but I didn't. So it's there. The amaranth in this row is growing well. Based on the growth of the plants that are in these current rows, it's starting to tell me that I need to add more nutrients. So the soil that I put up here was probably more soil than it was compost because I get a soil compost mix. So I think I just need to put an inch or two right over the top of these. This middle bed here is the tallest out of all of the beds, and I think that this bed here, right next to it, is the thinnest or the shortest amount. That probably has 4 inches, and maybe 6 inches, and this bed with the corn in it is probably about 8 inches, roughly. So the Amaranth here is doing well. It's put on a lot of growth compared to the others, and they were relatively the same size when I planted them. The loofahs are coming up. The grape plant, that's the Mars grape, still doing nothing. So, strawberries in this bed, still doing nothing. None of the strawberries has broke dormancy, so now I'm just kind of worried maybe I wasted 50 bucks. Hope not. I hope that's not the case. The Niagara Grape coming on strong, putting on new growth. Got more loofahs on this side. Flowers going on. I love these hanging things. This is spaghetti squash. Planted it here to grow up. I still need to put some netting in between here so that it can grow up. More spaghetti squash. Those two did well, and I planted another one here, and it died. I don't know why. Could have been transplant shock. A bug could have got to it. Who knows? The potatoes. Oh, the potatoes. Look at all that growth. They're beautiful. They're so beautiful. I am noticing yellowing leaves on the bottom, and I was going to put bone meal or blood meal on top of the soil, but I did not get to it, so I didn't do it. So I was thinking that if I just come through, sprinkle in around the roots of the plants, if I sprinkle in blood meal or bone meal, I am thinking that it'll fix the issue with the yellowing of the leaves. I am thinking that all of these are going to seed. They are really tall. They are not heading up. They taste like cabbage because I've tasted them. This one's supposed to be cabbage. See that little tiny head there? It never even formed. So we're going to snap the guy. Snap it off. Oh, I didn't want to pull it out. Stubborn thing. See, I don't want to disturb the soil because of how hard I am working to get the soil to maintain a good structure. So I'll come through and pull out the other ones, but I'm not going to do that now, and I even just left that there. I need to move it to the compost pile. Not really much going on in this bed except for some cabbages that aren't cabbaging. Need to cut the onions. They're all getting long. I have them in every bed, so I need to go through and snip them all down. I have white wonder cucumber and one lonely pea. Look, I did it. I did the chalkboard. It definitely needs a paint job. I tripped. Definitely needs a paint job. But I think it looks cute. Isn't that nice? Too bad that's all vines and weeds and it's not actually anything I planted. Here's the blueberries. Lovely blueberries. Marigolds growing across the edges. Strawberries still not coming up. I'm going to come harvest a little bit of this time. Some more blueberries that I need to get these vines off of or it's going to choke it out. I need to come do that. Basil and amaranth, and there's some flowers planted through here. I think there's a zinnia or two. Weeds. Cabbages, I'm using them as trap crops, and they are doing exactly that, trapping bugs. Throughout here is just a random assortment of flowers. Nothing's really coming up, so I couldn't tell you specifically what's here, but look at this. Snapdragon. I grew that snapdragon from seed 2 years ago, and it's finally blooming. Success! Long bed. The lettuces that I planted did pretty well for transplant. I'm seeing some carrots come up. Little baby celery. These carrots are doing well. Spinach going to seed. Look how tall that celery is. My goodness. I still have not fixed this archway, but I took all the falling parts down. Here we have beans and carrots. I really need to get a trellis up this week, otherwise these beans are going to start going wherever they want. Oh look, this one's already trying to. huge celeries. So this is Dinosaur Kale. It is going to seed. I'm letting it. These little seed pods here, hang on. Come on. So these little seed pods are going to dry, and whenever they do, I'm going to pop all the seeds out of them and save them. But that dinosaur kale, doesn't that just look delicious? We have radishes growing here, a bunch of onions. Like I said, I have to come cut them. Cut all the tops off. Lots of dinosaur kale, cabbage. All of the lettuce that I planted is doing really well. It is starting to come on through. I pulled out a lot of the cabbage except for these 4 or 5 heads here, hoping that they might head up. Ignore the trash in the background, I didn't pick that up. See, these are Lincoln Homesteader peas, and they really need a trellis. They're pretty tall. Got butter punch and bib lettuce in here, and a lot of cabbage. More than likely, I'll come pull out the little cabbages that haven't headed up. I planted butternut squash right here, and I'm thinking that's probably going to be too many squash. They're also yellowing, so I need to amend this little bed as well. And they will grow up and over to the other side. My chair tipped over. I don't think we did the herb bed. I think we missed it. We'll start at this end and go around. I need to trim that. That's just weeds there. This dill is getting very large. We got some dill here. Mint. This is also butternut squash that is going to climb up and go over. So I need to connect those ends together. These beans are growing up the trellis, starting to get taller. And here, this is where I put mint. There's a lot of mint in here, thyme, sage. There's a wild berry. I think that's just a wild raspberry or something. Parsley has officially started to go to seed, as I knew that it would. And it looks kind of cool. Lots of parsley still. This is oregano, and I've been harvesting from it and drying it, and now I've got so much oregano. Cilantro. Man, that went to seed quickly, didn't it? A lot of cilantro. There's some spinach. On the end, I have 3 amaranths, little apple tree, and then pear trees that need to be potted up. Along here, white wonder cucumber. All there. So in this archway, in the beginning, it will be on this side, all tomatoes. Arching over will be white cucumbers. And then it's going to phase into beans. You can see all these sticks I have on the ground. These are what I want to fix the archways with. I do have some tomatoes. I have 3 or 4 very small ones over there. Cherokee purple. I believe they're all Cherokee purple. That is Brussels sprouts, so I'm going to come give this a whole bunch of nitrogen. Come give it a bunch of nitrogen so it can start forming them bulbs. So those are, I knew they were Brussels sprouts. This cabbage, very loose head. Very loose head. I put some Kellogg breakfast tomatoes over here. They're very small. I didn't have any pots to put them in, so just seeing what they're doing. This whole bed is filled with tomatoes. On the left, we have Homesteader tomatoes. Then it goes into Kellogg's breakfast. And, oh gosh, what? This one, I told me to remember that one because there's only one. What was it? Aw, dang it, I forgot. So I guess I'm going to go through the video footage and find out what that one tomato is. At least I remember that, you know, that's one special tomato because I only have one of it. I think it was the red ponderosa. I think that's right. These cabbages are doing wonderful. And the beans climbing up. Look at those beans. Cabbage is doing great. It's heading up nicely. I'm going to come give it a little bit more nitrogen as well. Maybe some potassium. There's a couple, I put tomatoes here too. All the way apparently. Don't remember that, and I don't remember which ones they are. lot of celery. So we got a lot of celery, a lot of cabbage, a lot of onions. There's garlic, spinach, and I have found out that when spinach goes to seed, it is not bitter like lettuce is. Yum. I love spinach. It's so good. Here I have Castelluto Genovese tomatoes. This is a whole row of Castelluto Genovese. I went overboard. But it is a sauce tomato. So I'm just going to get a little sauce out of it. Onions. These are daisies. Painted daisies. More onions, more tomatoes, more daisy. I put some sage. That's sage. I also put in, there's basil in there. Yeah, purple basil. We have asparagus over here. And I have, these are paste tomatoes. So far they're all Amish paste. There might be one Roma in there. Look at these guys, huh? My goodness. Good looking tomatoes. These are spaghetti squash. And then other tomatoes. Lots of potted up tomatoes. Those zinnias are starting to come up. The cosmos are coming up. They're looking nice. Looking real nice. But look at the growth on this side. I'm impressed. I did good. Chamomile. I've been coming out here every day for the last 3 days and picking off all the flowers and drying them. Bunch of beans. None of them have flowered yet. None of them are ready. Those peas, these are Alaska peas, they are starting to flower. So look at all these onions. I got onions throughout the entire garden. Beautiful. Look, look, look! Daisy! They're daisies. I knew that they were daisies. I grew these daisies from seed. I'm excited. I did not think that daisies got this big, but apparently they do. They're supposed to be painted daisies, though, and I'm not seeing much painting. Just yellow daisies. But still, do you see all of those buds? That is going to be so many daisies. So many daisies. These are purple beans and daisies. The daisies have bounced back. Whenever I transplanted them, they went into shock. You can see they were not happy about it, but a lot of them are coming back. Some of them have died, but that's all right. This is officially gone to seed, which means it is bitter. This part of the garden, you know what? The entire garden is growing wonderfully. I'm so glad that the in-ground bed down here worked. I like it so much better than the beds that I built for this area. And I kind of wish I just would have done this first. And I would have saved a whole year. And like $400. Look at all those. Oh man. Things are touching me. I don't like when things touch me. Kellogg's breakfast tomatoes. Zinnias. So many zinnias. So many. Cucamelons. Sunflowers, teddy bear sunflowers. These I'm the most excited for. Teddy bear sunflowers. These are potted up tomatoes. There are our trees. Mix of apple and orange. There's pecan and avocado. Kumquats. There's more. This chamomile, doing wonderful. So I need to pot a lot of this stuff up, or just go ahead and, you know, put it out. Oh, these peppers. I've California peppers in the back. I need to pot those up. I don't want to put those out small. And then these three have wasps' nests in them. They are apple trees, and they have wasps in them. And wasps terrify the mess out of me. I am afraid of wasps. I'm also kind of a pansy, but that's okay. There's a really big snake in here. I saw him. I did not see him go out. I don't want to go in there. I saw him 2 hours ago when I was watering. Okay. I'm silly, I know. The peppermint is growing. The hydrangeas still haven't come up. Burning bushes are starting to come up. I even started some more seeds. Lemon balm, yay. There's a little bit of oregano. This is where I'm comfortable. I'm not going further than this. There's a big snake up underneath that right there. Not much of this is growing. There are onions that I do need to pull out and cut off the tops right there. My aloe vera needs to go out. I'm ready to plant it. That's a weed, but look, it flowered. It's a flowering weed. Beautiful. So I definitely need to weed eat out here. Pull all this stuff. I need to put wood chips in there so that the weeds stop growing through. Well, that's it. We just looked at the entire garden. We missed something. Boom. Spaghetti squash? I think that's spaghetti squash because that's spaghetti squash. So I'm pretty sure that is also spaghetti squash. That is all that I have. I just wanted to sit down on my bench and just look. Just look at the garden. I did this. I did all of this. I'm gonna do more, and it's exciting. Gardening isn't just something to do. It's not just a hobby or, oh, you know, that's nice. Gardening is so much more to me. It's my therapy. It really is. I can be so sad and come outside and be sad while I do things. But then I feel better later. I really hope that my garden inspires you to garden, to grow something lovely. I love watching garden tour videos and seeing other people's gardens and reading magazines, Better Homes and Gardens, Martha Stewart, you know. Before I started gardening, I did not think that I would enjoy it this much. And frankly, the very first year, I did not enjoy it at all. I hated the sweating. I hated the bug bites. I have a reaction to mosquitoes, and if I get bit a lot, I will swell up and my entire skin burns, and it's like this whole big thing. But then, despite all of the burning skin and the bugs and the blistering sun, when it was time to harvest something, a flower, a cucumber, a tomato, the amount of joy that comes from that, and then being able to make something from that, and then you're looking at your plate, the food that you just made that came from your garden. It's just this overwhelming feeling of joy that is kind of hard to explain, but other people who garden and grow things, they get it. I encourage you to grow food. Grow something that makes you happy. Grow something that you've never heard of before. Because there is value in gardening. There is value in sharing your experience with other people. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with me today. We'll see you next time here on Hollow Acres Homestead.